at the workbench once again. We're going to be building ourselves a vintage kit that I've had for a very long time. This is, yeah, been around for a while. 36 Ford Hot Rod. This is copyrighted 1991. So I probably got it a little, maybe a couple years after that, but I've had it since the 90s, definitely. Skill level 2, 83 pieces. Requires glue. More challenging. Now see, back then, kits went up to level 3. They didn't have this level 5 stuff that they got today. No, we stopped at 3. 3 was pretty epic. 36 Ford Coupe Street Rod. With its mag wheels, Goodyear G2 radials, and rumble seat, this baby is meant for cruising and for giving a bruising to those who come up and want to race you. It's molded in metallic red and black with clear and plated parts and black vinyl tires. There's a lot of ands in that sentence. The model is super detailed throughout, including chassis, or chassis if you want to be, whatever. Interior and engine. Rumble seat opens and closes. And then we've got it in some foreign language there. Netherlands handling based. Choose the model kit that's right for you. All Monogram model kits are authentically detailed but require different levels of skill for assembly and decoration. These definitions will help you choose which level is best for you. Yes, sir, Bob. So, didn't have any of that stuff on the bottom either. So there's what the built model apparently looks like, built by a professional. Now, I can tell you one thing we're definitely not going to be using is that wiper. That is a horribly pathetic looking wiper, way oversized. The trim looks a little big too to me, but we can deal with the trim. That wiper is probably molded to the trim. We'll have to cut it and make it look good. We may just glue it in and paint it with the rest of the car. Little wink, wink customization. Wink, wink. Yeah, so let's go ahead and open the box. Now, what I've decided in a lot of my models here that I'm building for the video channel here in video is, and maybe some that have been off video too. I want to build one of my old kits. Then I'll build a new kit that I bought recently from Hobby Lobby or Order or wherever. And I'll build another old kit. One old, one new. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. Totally awesome! Yes, these are actually pretty cool. I wouldn't mind having all these actually. These would be kind of fun. Lamborghini Countach. Free catalog. Send 2 UPC barcodes for Monogram model kits. Or send us $2 and we'll send you a catalog. Ooh. I wonder if that would still apply. Probably not. There's the original wrapping here. Let's see. Looks like I originally paid $9.45 for that back in the day. $9.45 written there as well. So, let's see what kind of model we got back in the day for $9.45. Now, you can get them cheaper than that nowadays, brand new, when Hobby Lobby puts them on clearance. So, here we go with the main body. As you can see, it's 2 pieces, so you can do it as either a hardtop or convertible, I'm guessing. And it looks like we can do it as kind of a stalker because we've got that spare tire. Or Continental kit, I guess they would have called it back then. Got ourselves the dashboard. And it's kind of a nice metallic red. It's not too bad. I don't really see too many mold lines on the hood at all, actually. Looks like the rumble seat might have a little bit of a molding foible there, sadly. But at least that's in the back. We may or may not build this with fenders. I'm not really sure. I'll probably go with the fenders. I'm not planning on going crazy with this build. But that could change. Got ourselves the glass here. Looks like we've got 2 rear glasses there. 1 front and maybe a 3rd rear. Oh, maybe these are the side glasses, actually. So you can, so it's got side windows, I guess, for the doors. Well, it looks like we may do some roll down windows on that, partially rolled down windows. We got the plastic, vinyl, whatever you call them, rubber tires here. These are no-name tires. Avoid that pesky copyright and keep the models cheap. Of course, back then it didn't have any of that fancy pad printed stuff. Decent tread on that, and you know they're still plenty soft and supple, just like as if they were brand new, manufactured just yesterday. Let's make sure here. Looks like we got some fatter ones in the rear. Those will work nice. Now these ones are printed Goodyear Radial GT. Let me look at these front ones again here. That one is definitely a no name. And then we got one more loose in the box. One kind of got away from us there. Again, no name. So 2 of them are Goodyear GTs and 2 of them are not. All right, so we're going to set those aside. In the back there, we got our black pieces right here. Now, since the chassis is molded in black already, I may just go ahead and flat coat that. Call it good, matte coat it. Black interior. Again, I might just matte coat that. No sense in wasting good paint. Do black carpets. I like black carpets. They look good. Seat color, we might do something that matches the body color. I don't know yet what we're going to do for the body. We may paint it or we might not yet. I'm going to take a look at the body there. I've actually had good luck. I haven't done it in a long time, but I've had good luck in the past of actually waxing these bodies. They turn out pretty good. Door panels, you can see the rumble seat right there. And it looks like we've got half of an engine getting away from us there. Again, molded black. That looks like the stock. Well, I guess it must be a hopped up. Looks like a V8. I'm not sure if that's a Ford engine or not. What kind of engine they put in this car. No, that's a flathead. That's a V8 flathead. Okay, cool. Well, we're definitely going to build that because I like flatheads. Those are pretty cool. This can be built with the engine exposed, the side panels or whatever they're left off. Actually, it may not even have those. Yeah, it does. It's got them right there. Actually, you can see through those too. The grills are actually molded through there, and it's actually really. This was a really good mold here. It came out. It's very almost no. I don't really see any flash on that right there. That's really good. Of course, this kit would have been, the molds would have been newer when this kit was produced. So you got the wiper arm there, and as expected, it's part of that chrome trim there. Bad thing is if I cut that off, I'm going to leave a little bit of a plastic exposed, and even with the mild tile chrome pin, it's going to be noticeable that the chrome is missing. So we may just go ahead and glue that in and paint it with the rest of the body. Mag wheels, radiator, going to blacken that out in the inside there. Looks like a generator, couple, looks like maybe headlights there. License plate, shifter. We've got the intake manifold and then our tri-carb setup there. Nice bumpers. Looks like the front and rear bumpers are just identical bumpers there. Nothing, there's not one specific shape for the front or the back. They look like they're just the same. Inside, here's the decals, which I'd be curious if these are still any good or not after 30 years. 1936 Ford, 76 gasoline. Don't have those anymore, I don't think. Coney shocks. Bondo, here we go. Bondo, yeah. Got some nice USA flag decals there. These might be good actually for the layout, the train layout. Some of these might work as good building signs. 76 gasoline. Too bad there aren't two of those. That would be a nice. That'd make for a nice gasoline station sign there. The American flag only got one of those though. Got the Roadrunner horsepower logos there, two of those. You got the eyes. Yeah, you know, you could use these maybe on the left. We got a couple. Looks like, well, I was going to say a couple. Looks like we got one Goodyear. I'm not sure what they were thinking of here. If these were meant to be put in the window or what was going on there. Then we come to the instructions. Copyright 1992 on the instructions. So I'm guessing I probably got this kit in 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there. So it's typical. The first thing that gets you off and running with is building the engine. I guess that gets you excited to stick it in there. Looks like one of the colors is called Silver Fox. That's interesting. I always kind of wondered how they come up with these paint codes and names and stuff. Because you look through your tester's paints, it's like Silver Fox. So what color is that? We've got satin white, flat black, gunmetal, bright red, black, Silver Fox, and radome tan. Or radome tan, I'm not sure. When you're talking full fendered rods, the elegant 36 Ford Coupe is an absolute natural, quotes. You certainly can't argue with success and the popularity of this machine with generations of street rod enthusiasts. Let's try that again. Of street rod enthusiasts says it all. For many street rodders, the counterpoint to the current popularity of the high-tech look has been the nostalgia rod. Speed equipment and rod goodies, quote there again, from the late 50s and early 60s are in demand once again by the rod enthusiast who is seeking a more distinctive approach to his machine. Nowadays, you'd probably want to say his or her, because we'll live in a PC generation, and that's just the way it is. I'm not going to read all that. Okay, we're going to be slapping it in the chassis before we do anything else to the chassis, it looks like. And there's the instructions right there. Pretty basic, really. I don't really follow the instructions a whole lot because I usually kind of just wing it and pretty much figure it out. The only time I ever look at the instructions is when I just run into something and I'm like, what in the hay? What in the hay? So it looks like they've got you installing the windows and then gluing it onto the top there. Of course, we're going to glue the top to the body before we paint it, obviously, so it looks better. All right, guys, we're getting 12 minutes into the video, so let's get us unbagged and washed, and we will be ready for some assembly and paint. Stay tuned. We are about 15 minutes into the build here, and here's what we got so far. Basically, I spent that time getting out of the bag, despruing it, and sorting the parts out. Really, there's no flash to speak of on pretty much any of these parts. It's in great shape. The kind of it may just be because it's red, but the metallic kind of has a gold appearance to it. Unfortunately, I can't really use that. I mean, I could, but if I buffed it out, maybe. There's a significant kind of a mark in the door, unfortunately. So we're just going to go ahead and paint it. But again, I haven't done anything to this body. It is nice and clean. There's no flash to really speak of on this thing. And that's really good quality molds that Monogram Revell used back in the day for these kits. Again, you know, you look at the fine detail on the grills there, and you can see right through them without any kind of problem whatsoever. There's no well, it looks like there might be just a slight tinge of flash in a couple of those, but really for all of those spots, actually it looks like a pin actually is why that one's blocked off right there. But anyway, we're not going to use these, but I just want to point that out. So we got everything laid out here. The body I'm going to assemble fully. That's including bumpers. So the bumpers are going to be painted body color. The engine is going to be assembled. I haven't decided on a color yet. We might do a Ford blue, I guess, or something that resembles Ford blue. The interior, probably going to go with a tan of some sort. The suspension pieces, I've left these on the tray, or the parts tree. I've left some of the tree intact just to make it easier to spray. These will be aluminum, Rust-Oleum aluminum 2X. The chassis here and a floor pan for the interior, this will be just flat coated. I'm not going to waste any black paint on that. The exhaust is molded in. Again, I'm not going to worry about that. It'll just black out. I won't see it anyway. Super detailers, if I was going to super detail it, I would probably bend my own aluminum tubing and make my own exhaust. I don't really feel like going to that extent. And again, you really can't, you're not going to be able to really see it anyway. I'm not building a showstopper here. I'm just looking to build something nice to put on the shelf. I'm an average modeler. I only do the fancy stuff when I really feel like it. There's the interior. Nice detail on the floor. The carpet detail is nice. Flocking would look really good on this. It's too bad this isn't a convertible 2, but given the fact that it has a removable top, this model may have had that option at some point in the past. So the engine's going to be mostly assembled and painted the same color. That is including the valve covers. And the body, I'm also going to paint the grille body color as well. So it's not going to be any chrome per se on this kit. The wheels I will dull coat, and those will look beautiful. So that's where we're at. Let's get to some sub-assemblies, guys. Woo! So far I got most of the parts assembled that I can assemble before paint. Up here, I got the fenders and the grille and the headlights. Come on, focus camera, there we go. All glued together. The grille went on perfectly. And headlights at 2. The buckets there went on quite nice. There is a little bit of a seam running down. I shaved it down a little bit so it won't be quite as noticeable. I also sanded it a little bit too. Nothing terribly crazy. It'll look okay. Better than it did. The body shell. I hate 2-piece bodies. I really, I just multi-piece bodies just kind of suck. So we're going to slide him over like this. Now, I had to do some shaving of the roof section around the back here to get it so that it would close the gap along the doors there. And we got it close enough for government work. I got it glued. As you can see, I've got it clamped. I got some weight on it, aka a paint bottle. And I did have a bungee corded, but these just kind of slipped off, so we'll just go ahead and get those out of the way there. So I'm gonna let that dry, and it'll be good. The glue actually sealed it up pretty good, so I think we'll be okay on that. When we get the paint on there, it'll look good. The engine is, of course, drying still. I just shaved the chrome and then glue it down. This actually is probably ready to get the clamps off there. But that's the amount of the engine that I want to assemble for paint. I may go ahead and wire this engine with spark plug wires. I might do that. So the spark plugs, can't really see them in the camera. Well, maybe you can. So the spark plugs, each one has a little nub sticking out there. So I might get myself a little boot or something, cut a little boot out on there, and glue it, and then we'll just stick the wire into the boot, and then we won't have to drill anything on that. So we'll see. I may or may not. I bought a whole new spool of fishing line to do wiring, and the frame, I still haven't painted this yet, so we're just doing our sub-assemblies here as much as we can. The interior I can't really assemble because I'm going to paint the seats separately. Obviously the body is going to be painted in its own color, and those pieces are assembled, and that's about all I can do. The actually, that's not true. The chrome insert for the headlight buckets there, I am going to also paint those body colors, so I could assemble those in there now. I think I will go ahead and do that. Those guys right there. Let me get those into the frame there like so. And also we'll mask the inside of that with some kind of a liquid mask. I do have some liquid mask around here somewhere. I will have to dig it out and find it. And that will look really good. Once it's all painted, we'll unmask it, and then we will glue our headlights on there, and they will stand out like a brand new penny. So that's the plan so far. I haven't decided on a color yet, but I will eventually. Right, so I'm preparing the body for paint. And this is one of the things I don't like about these two-piece bodies, is that we've got seams to take care of. This side, I was able to get that glued down, and the seam doesn't really show up at all. This side, there was still a little bit of a gap, so I got that puttied off on the inside, actually. And then just kind of smoothed it out over here. I also did a little bit around this gap that was right here as well. The front, the insert, sanded that down, sanded the chrome off of that, glued it into place, and then puttied around that to kind of more blended in with the rest of it. I matte blacked the whole body, and this is like it's textured under here, so this is like supposed to represent like a removable soft top, moonroof kind of a thing, whatever. So I just left that black, masked it off. I think that'll look pretty good. The inside is also painted black. I'm going to mask around in the windows here so we can maintain that, so we at least have a little bit of color on the inside. And that's where we're at so far. Going to get the putty sanded, and we will be ready for paint. I've got the fenders painted, and I've got the hood painted, the yellow that we're going to be using for this. But I got to get the body a little bit more righteous than it is already. It's just a little bit of work, a little bit of extra work, not a big deal. The putty I'm using is this plastic putty, 100% acrylic resin, and it dries. It's made by Vallejo. It dries very fast, sands smooth, and this stuff is really not all that expensive either. So a tube of this will last a very long time. And I'm just smearing it on there with my finger. So I'm going to get that sanded, and it'll be in paint, and hopefully it'll be looking beautiful. Well, work is proceeding apace. I did the wire boots on the engine. Got those glued into place, so then we'll plug the spark plug wires in. I gotta see where what the distributor location is on a flathead V8, because I am not sure, and I don't see anything yet that resembles a distributor. So I'm gonna figure that one out. If it's something that's like a magneto or something like that that's just kind of not visible, I'm just gonna like stuff the wires somewhere and just kind of make it look like it goes somewhere. But I'm gonna do some Googling on images of flathead V8s and see what I can come up with on that. I got the gel pins up because I was doing a little painting on the Goodyear for the rear tires. The front tires, believe it or not, are actually Michelin. I know it wouldn't show up in the camera because the lettering is like freaking tiny. So the dude's got mismatched tires on his ride, at least brand, not to mention obviously size, so ain't gonna be no rotating on these bad boys. You know, back in the day I always had a difficult time painting that lettering, but since the invention of the wonderful gel pen, this is quite a lot better. I decided not to push my luck on the GT radial part. I'm happy with the Goodyear part, and I think it's going to look rather nice. So I'm letting that paint dry. The chassis is mostly assembled. Very easy. We've got a whole wad of, there's a spark plug wire there getting caught up. 3 parts in total. No, excuse me, 4. Is it 4? No, it is 3. 3 parts that attach to the chassis, 4 in total, I guess, if you count the chassis. The rear end, the front axle, and this little support right here, all glues into place. You know, I hate to say it, but I think that frame might be a little bit twisted. In fact, I think it is. I'm going to have to untwist that because I can see that there is a, I don't know if it shows up in the camera, but you can kind of, there seems like there's a bend in that frame. Well, one thing I can do is heat that up with a blow dryer and hopefully get that straightened back out. I'll have to check it once it's on the tires, but I'm pretty sure that that is off. Like quite a bit, actually. Unless it's my front axle I've got glued in not quite straight. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, maybe that's what it is, actually. Yeah, no, I think it's twisted. I think that front is, it looks to me like that front beam, the frame right there. It seems like that sticks up right here. Well, yeah, fun times, I guess. I'll have to figure out a way to fix that. It's too bad I just now noticed that. I got most of the chrome parts used up here, so that's good. And we got the rear shocks still left to go, radiator cap for the little top piece for the radiator there. I'm going to work on the interior next here, get that put together, and should look like a pretty nice interior. I think that'll look good with the yellow. All right, we will be back. So I'm checking out the current hotness sitting on the bench here, and things are looking pretty good. But the one funny thing I notice about this is the instructions don't say anything about this. Is if you look at that rumble seat, you really have no leg room there between that and the steel right there. So I don't know. I think I'm going to cut that out, honestly, because I mean, I don't really see a reason for that to exist. I mean, structurally on a real car, yeah, but you wouldn't be able to sit back there. Your feet would, there's no room for your feet back there, and it is where it's supposed to be. So is the seat. It has alignment pins. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but it has alignment pins for the seats, and you know, everything just kind of fits where it should. So, I mean, it's where it should be. The axles are centered in the wheel hubs and everything else, but in the center of the fenders there, but the rumble seat is not quite right. So, at least as far as the relationship to that goes. So, I think I'm going to cut that out, actually, because, yeah, we don't need it. I mean, I'm going to display it with the rumble seat up. I mean, that makes sense. I'm going through all the work. If I wasn't going to display it with the rumble seat, I wouldn't even be bothering with the rumble seat, to be honest with you. But we're going to do that, and I think it just makes some sense to cut that out. So that's what we're going to do. No, the instructions do not say anything about cutting that piece out. I took a look, and you can still see it right there in that step, and you still see it right there on the step before we go putting it back on the chassis there. So that's what we're going to do with that. Just kind of makes more logical sense. The engine is basically done. I got to wire it up. I still haven't looked up where the wires go yet, but it's got the carburetors on there, the tri-carb setup. Looks very nice. The fan I actually pushed out a little bit because the way that it was going to look or was going to fit on there, it just would hit that. I guess that's a water pump? I'm not really sure. I know modern V8s, but these old flatheads, I'm not sure. I guess that's a water pump of some sort. But anyway, that fan would hit the water pump, so I decided to just leave that off of there. Or just push it out a little bit there, I mean. So, anyway, that's looking good. I think this is turning out to be a lovely kit. As long as we don't screw something up, I'm just waiting for the putty to dry. On this is like the second application after like another coat of primer. And that's actually... Actually, kind of looks cool that way. Actually, I like this this Walmart flat black. I wish they still made it because it was very nice paint. Very nice paint. Build update. We've got the body mostly assembled, and I don't have the rumble seat or anything like that. The windows pretty much suck. They really don't fit all that well. There's a gap around them. If these guys ever redo this model, they really need to redo this body. The two-piece thing just kind of doesn't really work all that well. The glass doesn't really fit all that well. It's okay, but it's not up to my particular liking, but it's going to do for the purposes of the model, just looking good on the shelf. I'm not going to bother with the side glass. The front and rear glass sucked enough as it was. I'm not going to bother with that. So the interior kind of goes together like you got to put it in the car itself. The door panels go up into here and whatnot. I've got the dashboard painted the same color as the body, so I'm waiting for that to dry right now. The other stuff here, the rest of it is still looking good. We'll just do a little preview assembly here. We'll call it a test fit. Not exactly sure how that's going to fit into there. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But something like that. And then we've got our tires. I don't have the body or anything else glued on yet, but that's kind of what we're going to end up looking like there once all said and done. So that's unfortunate about that stupid glass in this thing, but it is what it is. So no use in crying about spilled milk. We'll just move on. So I've got the engine spark plugs wires wired up there, and I'm just going to paint them. This is just a fishing line, 12-pound fishing line I used for this particular one. And I just kind of routed them somewhere where they laid, and then kind of super glued them down so that they would kind of more or less look like they're routed and clipped and stuff like that. So I'm going to paint those red. Camera will stay in focus there. Thank you, camera. So I looked at photos of flathead V8s, and spark plug wires ran down to the front here. Where that thing is right there. So there's a distributor or something down in there, and the one photo I saw had the ignition coil up where the generator is on this one. So I'm not going to bother putting an ignition coil on it. I could put that on the fender or something like that if I really wanted to. So I'm just going to paint this red, just a hobby red, nothing fancy, acrylic red, and don't even need to squirt this out into a bowl. We'll just use what's in the tip there. We'll just squirt it out like so. Get a little bit there. And we'll just proceed to paint some performance red spark plug wires. And just a little preview. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Since it's going to be opened up and visible, I figured it makes sense to have the engine wired in this case, since we'll actually see it. And yeah, this stuff is about $1 something at Walmart for this big roll, and you get like 100 yards. So this is about an infinite amount of models right there. I also got some 4-pound. I figured that might come in handy for some other wiring or maybe throttle linkages or something like that. I'm not really sure. Maybe a different scale. I might use this actually on the train layout for the telephone poles down the road. It is a little stretchy. There is some give to it. But, you know, that's a really cheap way to give yourself some spark plug wires right there. And, you know, it looks pretty good. It really does look good. So I was looking up today while I was at work and looking up images of flatheads. Now, I'm not going to change this because I've already got stuff glued down. But it depends on the year of flathead. This is being modeled after a late 30s flathead. It has this, I'm going to call it a magneto. It's a distributor, some sort of distributor magneto thing. It's driven off the camshaft on the front of the motor. This one actually is a little bit oversized from the images that I saw. But so some of these flatheads do in fact have this big generator up here. Some of them have an alternator in the middle, probably a retrofit. Some have the fan spinning off of the generator alternator up here. Some of them have it coming off the crankshaft like this one does. It's all over the place on these flatheads. But on this particular flathead, this particular year of flathead, the wires, actually 4 of the wires come off of this side and the other 4 come off of this side. So this side of the engine would come off of this side of the distributor magneto ignition coil, whatever you want to call it, combo pack thing right there. Some of them have a distributor that's actually driven off of the crankshaft or the camshaft, and I don't know if that's a mod, if that's actually something that was done later on, but the distributor would come off right over here off of the camshaft, and it's got a cover and I'm guessing a gear drive and whatnot to make that happen. And they've got a separate ignition coil, which some people put on the engine itself, some people put on the firewall, inner fender, whatever, wherever they feel like it. So that may be a later year mod. Some of these also have the radiator hoses coming out of the front of the head, front section of the head going up. Some of them have, like this one, some of them have kind of the middle of the head. They have a thermostat housing right here. It's all over the place. I'm not going to change it because I've already got everything super glued down. It's looking good. If you don't know any different, you know, it looks fine. But I should have this set of spark plug wires coming out of this side. So anybody building it and wanting to wire a flathead that has this particular flathead, that is, from what I can tell, the way to do it. All right, let's go ahead and get to work on the interior. I got to get that put together. The thing is about the interior that's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt is that the way they designed this is that you're supposed to put the top on, the roof on after you got it. It's like you put the interior pieces, you put the body on, you put the interior together, and then you put this on. Well, we can't do that. I mean, this would look horrible if I built this car this way. It's already kind of questionable as it is. So what I'm going to have to do is, they designed this back seat to glue, to rest up against right back here. And you can see there's a couple little things sticking out there to align the seat. So if I was to glue this like that, which looks fine, but then it would go under here and the body wouldn't sit down all the way, and it would be resting in a weird place back here. So I'm going to have to glue this in here like so, is what I'm thinking I'm going to have to do. And I'm going to have to use some kind of a flexible glue, so that, because I'm not exactly sure if it's supposed to be here, if it's supposed to be back here, how that's going to actually line up. So I need there to be a little bit of a flex. So I just try to center it there into place. And then when I put it down, you know, I'll kind of get kind of a general idea of where that's probably going to have to go. And hopefully there'll be enough flex in the glue to where it'll just kind of lay into the proper place and be happy. But the first thing I've got to do is put the, well, this is going to be fun too, because I got to somehow get the dashboard So these go inside, and it even shows it on the instructions. You put these up and glue them to the side like so. And then you're supposed to glue the dashboard in there, but it rests on these little, on those little this little thing right there. That's where they glue the dash to on either side. So that's going to be fun. I don't know yet how any of this is going to work. I guess what I'm going to have to do is just glue the one in, put the dash in, and glue the other side in, and then make it all kind of work together, I guess. I don't know. I'll figure something out, and then once I figure out the sauce, the secret sauce to this, I will let you know. Actually, it turned out not to be that bad. It just kind of wedged it up in there, and it kind of just popped into place. So I don't have it glued yet, but yeah, it looks good. So I'm going to get couple dabs of glue will do ya. And my idea for the seat worked out pretty good. I glued it along the back there last night with the clear tacky glue gel stuff. And I did have to kind of move it up a little bit after it dried, but it sits down perfectly now. So that looks pretty good right there. I'm happy with it. And I think that color for the steering wheel matches the seat very closely. So that's good. So that fits just pretty much right where it should. I don't mind there being just a little bit of a gap between the windshield and the dash there. It's very minor. But I think that's looking pretty good in there for... Can you get that to zoom in on there? Yeah. I think that looks pretty good in there. Just fit it around that shifter, and there we go. And here it is in its wonderful glory. The finished, vintage, 30-year-old Monogram, roughly 30 years old, Monogram, 36 Ford Hot Rod. Hot Rod. The engine wired up, looking beautiful on both sides. The interior, that nice brown, and I painted the steering wheel similar color of brown, which you saw earlier in the video, and I painted the spokes silver with the silver pin. Nice shifter in there. The I don't know if you call it a vinyl top, convertible top, rag top there, painted black. Overall, it turned out pretty nice. The turn signals I used, the testers turn signal amber, which this also makes a great body color. It's metallic. And for the tail lights, I decided to just paint in the tail lights using testers stoplight red. Right there. Again, it's a metallic, and both of those make for a very lovely paint for a body if you want to airbrush it. The paint is that high gloss citrus from Rust-Oleum. As you can see, the shine is superb. The reflection of the light. The gloss is just, look at that. I mean, that's no sanding, polishing, clear coat. There's no future. There's no floor wax of any kind on that. It just is out of the can. The running boards are just the bare plastic, flat coated, matte coated there, glued on, and they kind of fit okay. They'll look fine, but they don't really want to sit down very well. You can see a little bit of a uppity thing going on there, but that's okay. So overall, This kit's pretty nice. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I hope that Monogram, if they re-release this kit, or have re-released this kit, and I'm unaware of it if they have, but I really hope that they fix some of the issues, like make the body one piece, get rid of the stupid back shelf here, do the seat so it mounts, properly to the floor instead of having half of it glued to the back of that shelf and the other half you kind of got to, a lot of fun to make all that fit. The 2.5 body is my biggest issue with this kit, but we got through it. It's going to take a little bit more work to really make it stellar, but I'm fine with it as it is. It's going to look good on the shelf, and that's the point. The warped frame was also a little bit of an issue. The bumpers have little pins. The pins don't fit into the holes. They don't even line up to the holes that are in the frame. So I just cut those off and glued it directly to the frame as I just knocked off the hood there. The hood does fit very well. That was molded very nice. The glass doesn't fit very well. There's a lot of gaps around there, and especially the back window. You really see a little bit of a gap there, but it is what it is. You can fill it up with some clear gel or just leave it the way it is. It's not terribly noticeable, but it's not something I would prefer if I was doing a car that I would want to have in a show of some sort. So definitely probably want to cut your own glass for that one, for the front and rear. I also don't like the fact they've got these little circles. And this back window actually had a couple of molding defects, so you can see those dots. Those were molded into it. I guess this is for a rear view mirror, but I don't like that. That's just really stupid to have that there. And there's also another molding defect. You can see there's like a little blip in the plastic sticking out there into the glass. That's, little issues like that. The things that do really good on this kit, do fit really nice, is the chassis. Despite the fact that it was warped, goes together. The engine, the way it plugs into the drive shaft, is great. It's a nice way to support it. Everything down here is molded very well. It does go together very nicely, despite, like I said, being warped. No gaps, nothing really, no real issues with that. The headlights also fit in there nicely. The lenses are keyed, so you can get them in one way and one way only, and get them straight the first time. Clear tacky glue was used to hold both the chrome and the clear lenses together. Front bumper had the same issue as the rear. The turn signals on the front, I just super glued those on, and thankfully I didn't get them stuck to myself or my finger stuck to the car. There's no locating holes, there's no pins. It's just you stick it on and you pray, and thankfully I got them pretty much straight. Globbed on the turn signal amber, about 3 coats of that, and it gives it a nice lens effect. Looks really good. The other thing that kind of sucked about this kit is the radiator. The lines that run from the heads to the radiator, there's pins that drop them into the engine, and that's fine, but then there's nothing that drops them into the cover. So this is just basically you're praying that they're going to go where you want them to go. So I glued them in. I held them in place with something like this here. And so they would hold in place until the glue was set enough to where it would hold the weight of those on its own. The cover for the radiator does not have any kind of locating holes or pins or anything. So it's basically you stick it in there, you glue it down, and you hope you got it in somewhat the right location. So there's a lot of issues with this kit. There are minor issues, but there's still issues that I'm going to make all of you aware of in case you're thinking about buying this kit. And if they re-release it, I hope that they fix some of these issues with this kit, because otherwise a beautiful kit, and a 36 Ford is not a common model to have on your shelf. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching this latest build on Nick's Collectible Creations of this beautiful 36 Ford Hot Rod from Monogram, a vintage kit from 1991. We will see you again here very soon for another build. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that fun stuff. Peace out, everybody. Woo!